Oh, what is going on, everybody? James S. Cassidy here, and time for another M-Blog. I know some of you have been waiting for another one. I know. I see you all. I see you right there. You with the red shirt. I see you in the background right there. You wanted one of these. Anyway, so I'm back with another M-Blog, and I thought I'd come up with a topic this week. Something that, I cover basically some of the basic stuff of what I think of Sasasaku, Narasaku, Sakura's development, Hinata's development. What possibly could I do next? There's another topic that's been floating around, and I think I want to address it. I want to address the subject because it has been mind-boggling me in how many people think this way, and yet are not strangers to such a thing happening in other such media or other such anime or manga that has occurred. I'm going to explain this. I will show you what I mean, and I hope that by the end of this, if you're having doubts about it, or if you think somebody is telling you that, oh, it's like this and you should see it like this, I'm going to show you a completely different way how it can be exactly how you want it to be, and yet still play into what they say is true, meanwhile still holding true to what you want to believe. Anyway, this week, I'm going to talk about Chapter 631. Now, I know people are wondering, what? Why are we talking about this one? Well, I'll tell you why. A lot of people still think that this chapter has been played up for comedy and shouldn't be taken seriously. You know who you are. I know who you are. It's obvious what kind of people think this is just played up for comedy, but I digress. I'm going to bring this up because I feel it needs to be brought up, and I think there's a point that people are missing about this chapter. And I think there's a point that people have yet to realize that this is not the only manga that has done this sort of thing and still had an outcome that was expected of a canon pairing. Anyway, Chapter 631. In this chapter, which, by the way, this chapter has, torn down forums when it first came out. I mean, Naruto basically had to shut down all their pairing forums simply because people were, or should I say more specifically, the Narahina and the Sasusaku fans were just raving so hard on how much bullcrap this chapter is to them. And I'm like, well, what did you expect? Honestly. But anyway. So, 631, we have Minato coming back into the scene. Okay? Minato joins in the battle, saves the day, blah blah blah, you know the whole shtick. He turns and he sees Sakura and Naruto. Now, Sakura is healing Naruto. You all remember this. She's healing Naruto, and other people are trying to be this wall to protect Naruto while he's healing up. Anyway, Minato turns to Sakura and Naruto, and what caused people to lose their cool was that he turns to Sakura and he says, "Are you his girlfriend?" Now, I want to make something perfectly clear. He does say girlfriend. In the translation, it is translated as girlfriend, as in a lover, a relationship status. There is no mistranslation of it. Maybe he meant a friend that is a girl. Maybe he meant that a girl, or a girl that he has a close relationship with but are not in a relationship status. No, he meant girlfriend, as in, are you dating each other? So, and I want to make that perfectly clear because I don't want anybody to say, oh, no, he meant friend as in girl. No, he meant girlfriend as in a lover. It's in the translation. You need to look it up. Anyway, so, we have Sakura does not reply to this question, even though it's directed towards her. Instead, we get Naruto replying to it. And what does he say? He says, and depending on the translation, he says more or less. Splitting hairs. Yes, sort of. So he kind of says, yeah, basically. Now, this proves two things right off the bat. One, Naruto is still in love with Sakura. It shows in this panel that he still sees Sakura as a love interest. He doesn't have changing feelings for Hinata. He's not changing his feelings for anything else or anyone else. That is it. And two, despite all the facts that what happened in chapter 615, despite all the facts that happened previously, or Hinata's confession, despite Sakura's confession, no matter how many people try to like debunk that one, he still loves Sakura. He still does. He doesn't love Hinata at all. At this point in time, 631, and the manga is almost ending. I want you to keep that in mind. The manga is almost at its end, and he has still not changed his feelings for Hinata. He is still in love with Sakura. I want you to keep that in mind, because we then get to the next moment where Sakura headbutts him over the head and tells him to shut up. Now, many people have claimed that this is purely for comedic purposes. I want you to point out that, yes, maybe that is true. Yes. I'm going to say, yes, it is true. However, this does not diminish the fact that they are a canon couple, or that this is a step, this is a +1 for Narasaka. I was about to say canon couple, but that would be wrong. This is not, that does not diminish the fact that this is a +1 for the Narasaku side, and one step closer for it to being canon. I'll tell you why. Because if you look at other manga, this has happened before. If you look at other anime, this has happened before. It is an actual trope, and I'm going to read it off to you because I want people to understand. This is from tvtropes.org, so I want you to know that this is something that they actually classified as a writing technique. But anyway, the trope is called "She is not my girlfriend." Now, there is a reverse to that called "He is not my boyfriend." It's the same thing, but from a female's perspective. Anyway, and it says, I quote, "Yes, she is. If she isn't, she eventually will be. Resistance is futile. Narrative causality compels you. A standard response in the face of an accusation that two characters are more than just friends. Usually said with an exclamation point or 10 at the end with an emphasis on the not. Maybe accompanied by smashing something. A common inversion, especially in the second case, is when the speaker is asked about the not girlfriend-boyfriend in question, and they respond with the line even though the accusation was never brought up in the first place. Sometimes. Especially common in shows and on channels where kids or preteens are the main audience. Keep that in mind. Now, there are three things that could happen that allow people to believe that even though they could outright deny it, the other characters do not believe them, right? Because if they try to like hilariously brush it off, that's not convincing anybody. Nobody believes them. It means that the relationship is long overdue for a relationship upgrade, which is true. I think it is. At this point in time, whether it be Narahina, Narasaku, or Sasasaku, a relationship update is needed because we really haven't gotten one in a while to really tell us what is what. So I think this one is kind of a defining moment. The other characters are just not falling for it. And you can see it with Shikamaru, because he's actually done this with Naruto quite a few times, where he asked her and they denied it. Or some people have asked Naruto whether Sakura and him are dating, and they've outright denied it, and everyone's like, bullcrap. We know that you're going to get together eventually. We could tell it. It's as obvious. But the problem is, to you, it isn't. Anyway, I just want to bring that up because I'm gonna give you some examples here of many different instances. This has happened in Full Metal Alchemist between Rinri and Ed. Did they get together at the end? Yes, they did. It has happened in Inuyasha between Kagome and Inuyasha. It has happened in Fruits Basket between Kyo and Toru. It has happened on several occasions in Tenchi Muyo, and in some stories of that one, there actually is a canon couple to it. It has happened in Rurouni Kenshin, if you remember, between Kenshin Imura and Karu. So it's not an uncommon thing. It is played several times for laughs, and yet still holds an effect to the story. It's because that's how it's supposed to be played out. It's supposed to be a little comedic. It just doesn't mean it doesn't diminish the facts of it. So I want people to understand something, that just because something is played up for laughs does not mean you just can't does not mean you can just discount it. Because, as I've shown, there are many canon couple that I have at the end that happen, and despite throughout the entire series, the characters deny it and deny it and deny it and deny it. Like Love Hina. Look at Love Hina. You know that Naru Segawa and Keitaro get together at the end, and they deny it throughout the whole series that they're not a couple. They don't get together. Blah 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 blah. In fact, Naru does it so often that it's practically hitting us in the face that they're going to be a couple together. So we both know that these two are going to get together because he doesn't change his feelings for her, and she's always wanting conflict. Surprised? I'm not. It's a standard writing practice. Yes, it's played it for comedy, but it still has a meaning behind it. It still means that these two people are going to get together. And this has happened several times in Naruto between Naruto and Sakura. No one has said anything about that about Naruhina. No one has said anything about Sasusaku. None of those kind of instances ever occur at all. At all. Look, read the manga again. You will never see a moment like that between those other two pairings. So I have a strong belief that yes, this chapter 631, despite it being a comedy, as some people claim, means it still is a +1 for the Narusaku camp, and that it still holds precedence despite many people claiming that comedy diminishes it. That's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you take what I said serious, and I hope if you haven't had the idea already, I hope I've given you a brand new idea, and maybe this week when the chapter comes out, we're going to have a podcast, hopefully, and I'll see you on the podcast.